Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is RemovableSanity and today I'm reviewing Pathologic 2 on the Xbox One. It's developed by Icepick Lodge and published by Tiny Build. They provide me a review code just before Christmas, but unfortunately I was quite ill during that period and lost my voice, which is kind of something I need when doing these sorts of reviews. Anyway, let's move on with seeing what Pathologic 2 is all about. Pathologic 2 is best described as a psychological survival game with the aim to keep your stress at 11 throughout its journey. It has an artistry that rivals Death Stranding, an anxiety that rivals Alien Isolation, and a difficulty that rivals Dark Souls. Nothing will prepare you for Pathologic 2. Now, fans of This War of Mine will certainly know what I'm talking about, though I would say this makes that game look childlike in comparison. This is a game about the collapse of society's moral, political and social fabric in the face of destruction, with you being placed firmly at the centre. The premise of the game is that you are Artem Baraka, a surgeon who returns to the town at the request of his father, only to find him murdered hours earlier, and the town on the brink of an outbreak of a horrific plague. And this leads me on to the gameplay. I have never played Pathologic, and from what I can tell, this game is a remaster stroke reimagining of the original, even though it's classified as a sequel. The story takes place over 12 in-game days, with each day taking approximately about 2 real lifetime hours, which pauses in the menu or when you're on dialogue interactions. Now, you start the game surprisingly at the end, which shows off the horrific outcomes for the town's inhabitants and the brutal nature of residing forces attempting to curtail the plague. A quick deal with a mystical figure, followed by a selection of multiple supernatural dream sequences, leads you back to the beginning and the real start of your journey. From there, you interact with a variety of strange and wonderful characters who introduce you to a bunch of meters that you'll need to manage: stamina, hunger, thirst, health, exhaustion, and immunity. These are paramount to your survival and will often be the bane of your life as you progress. Careful planning and exploration is paramount to ensure that you are able to do the things you want with regards to exploring the game's deep and dark world. If you get hungry, your health drains, but eating certain foods will make you thirsty. You must drink water constantly, or your stamina meter becomes diminished. For every and each action you will get more exhausted, which sleep will help, but in the process makes you hungry and thirsty. You see, everything is tied in some way to each other and the game's economy system, so it will require a good understanding on every aspect to keep you alive. Let's be real here. You will die at some point, and thankfully there is a save point system in place. However, you can only save your game at clocks, and they only exist in certain buildings. This means you will need to ensure that you have a good knowledge of where they are in order to preserve your playthrough. Once you die, you will re-emerge at the nearest clock. However, between your death and resurrection, you chat again with the mystical figure you made a deal with at the beginning. Here, he will state that no resurrection is free, and in doing so, he curses you and says each death will make things harder. Now, curses vary and will affect your meters from less health to faster hunger or quicker exhaustion. You soon find out that your father has been murdered hours before your arrival, and that you are already the number one suspect. From here, it's up to you how and where you'd like to progress. Do you keep on track with your dad's murder, build a rapport with the town's child gangs, or just catch up with an old flame? Either way, you'll be hard-pressed to not find something to keep you occupied, with the game's inhabitants providing you some of the most truly thought-provoking events I have ever witnessed. Forget BioWare's in-depth NPC storylines. The characters here are written a level beyond. All are motivated by their own desires, failings, and complex relationships that will create a bond between you and them that you won't soon forget. It is a commonplace for their own agendas to ensure that they will lie to you, hide things from you, and in some cases cause you more harm than good. But because of this bond, the addiction to find out what will happen to them will push you further forward in a bid to see the outcome. But beware, for every storyline completed, the game delights in equal measure that there will be a corresponding choices, action and events that will ensure some will never be. There is a knife's edge in working out who to help, albeit maybe yourself first, with no clear path ensuring that your actions may result in a good outcome. This helps entrench that every single decision you make is critical and actually has an impact on this world. To help manage this as best you can, storylines and quests are arranged in a big web-like pattern on a screen titled Thoughts. Some have empty nodes which indicate that there is more to the story arc that you need to uncover. Inquiry icons are shown on the town map to help you go meet whoever you need to speak to for that particular mystery you're chasing. Each person you meet is added to your easily available wall of inhabitants, which is good to help catch up with whom you may need to interact with. And in this regard, it proves a simple and effective solution, which always kept me on track regardless of what chaos was happening. And believe me, chaos will arrive. Because at the beginning of each new day, the game introduces new intriguing stories, while simultaneously infecting more of the town with the plague. Soon, whole districts become infected with the airborne miasma, which eats at your immunity meter should you enter it. And if that wasn't enough, at the end of each day, you also see how many people you have failed, or you thought have helped, die. You see, there is no cure yet. You can only keep the infection at bay, and that goes double for yourself. And this is where your skill as a doctor comes into play. Keeping the inhabitants alive is going to be a full-time job. Now thankfully, it's all quite simple as it is just a basic mini game of clicking on potions and working out which colour pill they need. You can also perform surgery, such as autopsies, collecting blood and sealing wounds, which is often used in the early stages of the game. However, this soon can take a darker, more twisted path if you choose, when things get dire and the plague is out in full force. Once this happens, helping others can become a life or death risk, not only for them, but for yourself. You will often have to make a choice to enter plague districts to ransack houses, whilst avoiding the affected citizens to accomplish some goal, but at the cost of some health. Before long, the plague soon kills the local economy, and money becomes useless, so it then forces you to find alternative means to get resources. Killing, stealing and robbing are soon placed on the table for you to take part in, which could provide you with some much needed items, but your reputation in that area will plummet. The simple reputation mechanic is based on your actions, and depending on them will give you a good or bad rep in that particular district. Entering a district will give you a visual prompt stating, "Don't care about you," or "You are hated," which can also be viewed from the map, and is one area you need to keep an eye on. If you have a bad rep, people won't trade with you, avoid you, or worse, hunt you. The inhabitants will do anything to survive in a bad rep district, and you'll soon be attacked by face-painted yobbos who attack on sight in a bid to collect some resources. Now, the game's fighting is a bit clunky, with simple swings or stabs if you have a weapon, and a basic block for incoming attacks. Whilst you might manage one-on-one, 3 or 5 assailants is instant death if you can't get to a district that likes you enough. Now, whilst most will moan about the fighting system, you have to remember you are not a fighter, you are a doctor. This game's character is set in reality, where it really wouldn't make sense for you to be a boxing champion doctor knocking out everyone you meet. The game's difficulty is based on its aim to be realistic, and has an enthusiasm to make every step you take is met with a heightened state of unease and frustration. However, the developers realised this will limit its audience to a select few, so they have placed in one of the most in-depth difficulty sliders I have ever seen. With journalists and gamers fighting over how inclusive games with a high difficulty can be, Ice Pick Lodge have resolved this completely. Every aspect of the game's elements can be tweaked, from immunity, health, food drops, and even areas of high anxiety are up for adjustment. Each element is carefully explained how this not only affect the game, but the developer's intent. Now, they would obviously prefer you to play it how they designed it, and there's even a little clap if you do revert back to the original setting. But they also realise that for this story to be experienced by all, customer options is best. And this leads me on to the graphics. Now, without a doubt, there are better graphically looking games out in the world, but when it comes to visuals that have been designed by their very nature to push a particular mood, Pathologic 2 is almost perfect. From the game's muddy, bleak town design, persistent fog, otherworldly characters, and enough symbolism to create its own new religion, this world is fantastically realised. Every aspect here is done to set a mood of despair and depression, while showing off beautiful, weird, mythical creatures that make up the part of the townsfolk. The mix of the mundane sitting comfortably beside the mythical, all facing this incoming doom, is stunning. NPC characters are made to look bland in game, but are then visually enhanced and framed with a unique mood lighting when being talked to directly. It's as if the game's developers wanted to show that beyond the dull veil of the everyday sits a majestic beauty, but only if you're willing to engage with it. And as things get worse games-wise, the disturbing visuals seem to get atmospherically better. Lighting here is a particular favourite of mine, perfectly uplifting crazy building designs and illuminating intense mood-creating moments superbly. The game mostly runs with a smooth frame rate, however I did notice some drops, slowdown and stuttering when entering new districts or buildings. A good patch should easily fix this though. So what about the sound? I cannot express how much I love the sound in this game. It's haunting in all senses of the word and perfectly accomplishes its task to unnerve you at any given moment. The immersion has been cranked up to 11 and it won't stop regardless of death. Distant screams, baby crying, shouts, mystical groans and even the distant breeze of the wind add depth to an already deeply unhinged experience. But far the best though is the folklore music, which reminds me of something out of Senua's Sacrifice, confirming to you that you are in a land like no other. Whilst dialogue interactions is limited to minor statements while you read text-based conversations, what is said has been expertly weighted to give you the right amount of tone in relation to your circumstances. A good set of gaming headphones or a decent soundbar is a must to get the real experience here, which I can tell you you will not want to miss. And this leads me on to the rating of the game. Now I rate games in order of avoid, on sale, great purchase and must own. My rating for Pathologic 2 is a must own. I often review games to see what is fun, but that isn't what this game has been crafted to do. Its brutal, unwavering goal is to torture you, whilst forcing you to look deep into your soul and make character-questioning decisions. It is the closest thing to actually being right there, knee-deep in blood, mud and horror of this plague, as it demands you soak it all in. Its visuals and sound have been crafted to not only heighten your senses, but to terrorise them and ensure you will never forget a singular moment. The game is currently priced on Xbox at £29.24, or approximately $35, and would easily give you about 30 hours worth of gameplay, with the replayability to see how stories you didn't complete would turn out. This could easily be up to a 50+ hour game. It is also currently on Xbox Game Pass, and if you have it, I'd personally say download it now and try it out. And if you do like it, buy it, as the developer has mentioned there are at least one more DLC they want to do if they get the funds. Ice Pick Lodge have produced the most immersive, twisted, engaging game I have seen in years. However, like a painting in an art gallery, this won't be to everyone's taste, and that's okay. But without a shadow of a doubt, one thing everyone should do is experience it for themselves. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I do hope you like this review, and if you do, please like, share and subscribe if you so wish. And if you would like to put some notes or even just a comment in the comment section, I do like reading them. Anyway, have a great time gaming, and I'll see you all again soon.